Bienvenue sur netprof.fr, je suis votre English coach et maintenant nous allons regarder les formes superlatives des adjectifs et des adverbes en anglais. Vous allez voir que le cours ressemble beaucoup à la forme comparative des adjectifs et des adverbes, donc ça va maintenant être très facile. Today we're going to look at the superlative forms of adjectives and adverbs in English, and you'll see that it works in just about the same way as the comparative forms of adjectives and adverbs, on which I've already done a class, so you'll see it's all going to be very easy. Nous allons commencer par parler du cas des adjectifs et des adverbes qui sont composés d'un seul syllabe. Dans ce cas-là, on prend le mot, l'adjectif et l'adverbe, et on ajoute EST. Donc, slow devient slowest, fat devient fattest, et high devient highest. We're going to start with a case of adjectives and adverbs made up of just one syllable. It's very easy. You just take the word and add EST. You have the examples here: slowest, highest, fattest. Après, nous regardons le cas des adjectifs et des adverbes qui sont composés de deux syllabes et qui se terminent en Y. C'est le même cas. On prend le mot et on ajoute EST. Le Y est transformé en I. Now we're going to look at the case of adjectives and adverbs that are composed of two syllables and end in Y. It's also very simple. We take the word and we add EST, like in case 1, and the Y is transformed to I before adding the ending. Voilà les cas. Lucky, luckiest. Ugly, ugliest. Easy, easiest. Maintenant, nous allons regarder en trois les cas des adjectifs et des adverbes qui sont composés d'un minimum de 3 syllabes. Now we're going to look at the case of adjectives and adverbs that are composed of at least 3 syllables. Dans ce cas-là, le mot reste le même et on ajoute the most, the least ou the fewest lorsque c'est une quantité dénombrable ici. Un nom dénombrable. Et pas un adjectif et un adverbe. Donc, here we're going to look at the case of adjectives and adverbs with at least 3 syllables minimum. We have the examples here. We just put the most before the word, the least before the word, and for the superlative form of countable nouns, we have the fewest plus the word. Voici les cas: the least expensive, crowded, the most crowded, and the fewest remarks. It is a superlative form for a countable noun. Une exception à cette règle, c'est le mot fun. Comme on a vu dans les formes comparatives, fun, c'est un seul syllabe, mais on ne peut pas dire funner, on dit the most fun. Example, this learning method is the most fun of all. We have an exception, which is the word fun. It's a one-syllable word, but we cannot say funner or funnest. So we have to say the most or the least fun, and we have a sentence here: this learning method is the most fun of all. Here we have some more examples with a full sentence structure. Ici, nous avons d'autres exemples avec une structure de phrase plus complète. This chair is the most comfortable chair in the shop. Remarquez le choix de la préposition. The painting is the most beautiful in the collection. Ici, nous avons here we have cases of more complete sentences, and I'd like you to note the choice of the preposition. In the two cases, in the shop, in the collection, whilst here we have of. Ici, nous avons le choix de la préposition of, quand on dit of un certain nombre, of all of the 3. Maintenant, nous regardons les adverbes qui se terminent en ly. Now we're going to look at adverbs that end in ly. C'est aussi très facile. On prend l'adverbe et on va ajouter most ou least. This insect moves the most slowly of the three. This insect moves the least quickly of the three. Il y a une exception, comme on a vu la même pour les comparatifs, early. She was the earliest of the family. Là, nous avons un adverbe qui se termine en ly, mais on va ajouter la forme est. Here we have the case of adverbs ending in ly. It's very easy. We put the most or the least, and we put the adverb in its form as it was. There's an exception for the case early, as we saw in the comparative forms. Early has the ending est added, and the y is transformed to I. She was the earliest of the family. Maintenant, nous regardons les formes irrégulières qu'on a déjà vues dans les formes comparatives. Nous avons une colonne d'adjectifs, les adverbes et la forme superlative. Here we're going to look at the irregular forms, which we had already encountered when we had worked with the comparative forms. Good, l'adjectif good. L'adverbe, c'est well. Et la forme superlative, best. Bad, l'adjectif. Badly, the adverb. And worst is the superlative form. Far, l'adjectif. Furthest, il n'a qu'une seule forme pour la forme superlative à la différence du comparatif. Et old, et nous avons deux formes possibles pour la superlative. On peut dire oldest, et lorsqu'on parle d'une famille, on peut aussi dire eldest. So here we have the adjective, the adverb, and the superlative form. We notice that there is only one possibility for the superlative form of far, and that is furthest. And for the word old, we have two possible superlative forms. This one is possible only when we speak of family relationships. We can say the eldest of the three, or the eldest child, whilst the normal superlative form is oldest. Je vais effacer le tableau pour qu'on puisse continuer. Nous poursuivons notre étude des formes superlatives, des adjectifs et des adverbes en anglais, en continuant les formes irrégulières. We are resuming our study of superlative adjectives and adverbs in English, and we are looking at irregular forms. Nous avons ici deux exemples. She is the best of the three candidates. Best irregular superlative of good. This mountain pass is the furthest of the three. Voilà en forme irrégulière. Alors, je voudrais revenir sur la question de préposition. Lorsque la forme superlative est suivie par un lieu, nous utilisons la préposition in. The highest building in the world. When prepositions, yes, I would like to go back to the question of prepositions. When the superlative form is followed by a place, we use the preposition in, and we have an example here, the highest building in the world. Lorsque la forme superlative est suivie soit par une période de temps, soit par le nom d'un groupe, on utilise la préposition of. When the superlative form is followed by either a period of time or a group, we use the preposition of. The best performance of the year. Voilà une durée de temps. Ici, nous avons deux possibilités pour cette phrase. The best student in the class, the best student of the class. Dans le premier cas, nous parlons d'un lieu, in the class. Et dans le deuxième cas, on peut l'utiliser of lorsqu'on considère que c'est un groupe. With this sentence, we have two different cases. In the one, we consider that the class is a place, and in that case, we use the preposition in. In this second case, we consider that the class is a group, and we use the preposition of. Utilisation particulière du superlatif. Parfois, le superlatif peut être un synonyme pour le mot very. The leaflet is most informative, ce qui veut dire exactement, the leaflet is very informative. Special use of superlatives, sometimes they can be used as a synonym for the word very. And we have an example here. These two sentences, the leaflet is most informative, the leaflet is very informative, have the same meaning. Alors, une astuce, il faut penser que souvent on utilise la forme superlative avec the present perfect et je vous envoie au cours que j'ai fait là-dessus. In terms of useful tips, we could remember that the superlative form is often used with the present perfect, and I'll ask you to look at the class that I did on that, or that I've done on that. David is the most interesting person I have ever met. Nous avons ici le mot-clé ever, qui indique l'utilisation du present perfect. Et cette phrase veut dire David is the most interesting person I know. The present perfect is often used with the superlative, so please look at the class that I did on that. We have the keyword ever that indicates that we should be using the present perfect, and this sentence has the same meaning as this one. David is the most interesting person I've ever met. David is the most interesting person I know. Maintenant, nous allons regarder trois petits exercices et vous allez me dire laquelle des phrases est correcte ou incorrecte. Now we're going to look at a few exercises and I'm going to ask you to correct if necessary. So the first one, la première, we had the highest rainfall in the century. The second, the Louvre is the biggest museum in the world. And we saw the best show of the year. Okay, so we have the rule here. Nous avons la règle ici of quand il s'agit de période de temps. Donc, cette première phrase, ça doit être of the century. Lorsqu'il s'agit d'un endroit, world, nous utilisons in. Et là encore, nous avons une période de temps, donc of, c'est correct. Merci.